Welcome, everybody, to our Bethesda post-show here at E3 2017. I am your host, Brian Thomas, alongside the bootless wonder, Gary Hines.
What's up? And we're not actually at E3.
No, we're
here.
We're in our studio here, not
Mentally,
at
we're
E3.
there.
Mentally, we're there.
Yeah,
But we also have Raiden's daddy, Christopher.
I love it.
Yeah, well, I thought you might.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do right now, so Bethesda had their press conference. We're just going to kind of unpack it, give our thoughts really quickly, and then, just move on to the next one. That's what we do here at Pixelated Points. So Bethesda's up first, and what they started off with was like Bethesda Land. So they were it's kind of like this old-timey presentation of where they had this awesomely drawn like theme park with
They
all
released
of
the image prior to E3.
Yeah, so you have like Doomland, and then you have
Dishonored
Land and Fallout
Land.
Land.
Bunch of lands.
Yeah, a bunch of lands. And then they kind of just jumped right into VR. So they've been working on Doom, which is
It's pretty fucking cool.
looks really fucking dope. You want to replay Doom in VR? Great.
I kind of wish I wasn't playing it right now just because it's coming out soon on VR. but-
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't have the money to spend on a
An
VR.
Oculus, yeah.
An Oculus would be super nice. I mean, they seem like there's games that are now starting to come out for it that would be interesting. But at the same time, it's a longer campaign game. I don't know how long. I haven't played
It's
VR
pretty
yet.
long. For
So
a first-person shooter, it's very long.
Yeah, I mean, so like I don't know how long I'd be able to just play VR for. Like, is this something that you can play for multiple hours at a time, or is it like get sweaty? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, from playing just VR,
Yeah.
so I got to play
your-
did a lot of chicken head right now. So I got to headbutt a soccer ball into a goal, and that was sweaty on a show floor. No one was around me.
Yeah.
It was just on a show floor playing it, headphones on, VR on, and I was just like, this
Now,
is
the
warm.
type of VR you did, is that your movements actually factor into like what's going on in the game?
So just my head movements.
Just the head movement.
Just this
Yeah.
guy.
So I'd imagine with Doom, it's all controlled.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
well, no, you do have the separate
the
controllers.
joysticks, because they showed like the guy's hands and
Oh,
stuff
okay.
like that.
So like you can kind of like do this, a little bit of that, a little bit of
That
this.
could
Yeah.
make you pretty sweaty as
Yeah,
well.
I mean, I'm just sweating doing it now. So can you imagine actually playing the
yeah.
game?
So they showed Doom. What else did they show in VR?
They also showed Fallout VR as well,
yeah.
Fallout 4. So you can play through the entirety of Fallout in VR, which I guess, hey, if that's your cup of tea, go for it. But
If it was Fallout 3, I'd be pretty excited. Yeah. 4, not so much.
yeah, I wasn't too excited about that. I thought Doom was kind of the better choice for that.
Yeah.
And then they moved on to Elder Scrolls Online Morrowind. So this is already out. It is just an expansion pack for Elder Scrolls Online. And I have a bunch of friends that are really pumped up about it. Me, MMOs are not my thing, so I can't.
This table can't speak on MMOs
Yeah.
whatsoever.
Yeah, well, I think that was the biggest thing, that once they announced that, I think people's expectations went down a little bit on expecting like a new Elder Scrolls game.
Yeah,
being announced.
I feel like people who went into Bethesda's press conference hoping for a new Elder Scrolls game had way too high of expectations. Fallout came out 2015.
Yeah, a couple of years ago.
Since then, before Fallout was Skyrim, which was 2011. So it's like
I
they
think
do
we'll
a
get
4
a
to
tease
5
or
year.
something next year.
If we're I would say we'd get a
tease.
Well, Bethesda's thing isn't like, hey, here we're working on it. It's coming out in 3 years.
They're
It's
not Square Enix.
Yeah, it is. Good one. They're like, here it is at E3, and it's available November 10th.
Yeah.
And then you're like, fuck yeah, all right, cool.
Yep.
So that's what they did with Fallout 4. That's what they did with Skyrim. So that's just kind of
Makes
their
sense.
stick.
I mean, that's the better way to do it.
Yeah. So moving on from that, they had their Creation Club, which was basically it allows everyone to use mods, and they were really focused on the mod community. And then they were saying like, the Bethesda Game Studios is going to be working on new stuff to create, but then also the top modders in the community can also then be adding things to your game that doesn't affect, your achievements or your trophies or whatever you want. It's just fully part of that. It's almost canon, if you will.
Yeah.
It is nice to start to add more of that into the gaming, the allowing the mods. I mean, honestly, the one that I was actually interested in the new Skyrim on PlayStation until I heard that they were going to not allow most of the good mods,
Yep.
unfortunately. But
Yeah, well, that's just PlayStation. If you got it on,
I know Xbox allowed a lot more, but it's nice
Well,
to see consoles deciding to embrace modding at least a bit now.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it extends the longevity of games, and then on top of that, like the mod community on PC is fucking huge. So it makes sense to bring it to consoles. I don't know why PlayStation really just doesn't want that much to do with it.
Yeah, it's a bad look. It's certainly a bad look.
It is, and I know because like Justin was playing all the mods on the Xbox, and he was replaying Fallout, and because Fallout 4 had all the mods brought to it, and there was like actual story mods and stuff like that brought more than just adding Randy Savage into the game.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's supposed to be coming out summer of this year, so you can find that on Xbox One, PS4, and PC. So that's cool that it's coming to hopefully universally each console, but we'll see. Moving on from that, more Elder Scrolls stuff. So they showed off Elder Scrolls Legends, which is basically Hearthstone. It's a card game. Not for me because I'm not a nerd. Sorry, I'm kidding.
That is a whole other level of nerd. Though.
Yeah,
That's aggressive.
I've played Hearthstone and I've played Pokemon, the card game.
Gwent.
I've played Gwent. I'm just
Magic.
joking. That's nerdy shit.
That's like next level nerd.
Next level,
Did
yeah.
you play Magic too?
No, I never played. Monster Reborn. I just remember it's all in the heart of the cards. But yeah, if you're interested
The
in
heart
that,
of the matter, really.
cool. Yeah, whatever.
It's not,
and
that's
then
a joke.
oh, I missed that.
It's over my head too.
Nothing goes over
Don
my
Henley?
head. My reflexes are too quick. Drax? No, anyways.
Drax.
Yeah. So moving on. So Bethesda then announced Skyrim for Switch, or I guess re-announced. Yes. God Mike is fucking pumped up about
I think
this.
I sent you guys a text message that
This
like
is the first
1
release of
o'clock in the
Skyrim.
morning.
Yeah, I kind of rolled over and saw it, and I was like, "Fuck you," and rolled back to sleep.
I don't know what the tweet was.
I never thought
but
they would actually
was a
remake
text.
Skyrim
What
again,
did you
but
say?
they did.
It was just Skyrim on Switch. Like
Oh.
I was super pumped.
Yeah. So they did show off that Zelda Breath of the Wild items are in there, which cool, whatever. Nice
This
little
game
touch.
is so fucking old. And the thing that pissed me off about Skyrim at this E3 is it was shown almost in every single like conference. They had some sort of Skyrim coming to this. Skyrim. Coming
Did you
to
see
this.
the meme
We'll get
for
to
it?
the Sony one later.
It was like 2025 Sony PlayStation 8. We're bringing Skyrim.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm on the stance of fuck Skyrim at this point. I don't give a shit.
Skyrim.
That's it.
Can I get a fuck Skyrim?
I'll spill something.
Yeah. So they moved on to Dishonored 2, which I was very excited about. So I thought Dishonored 2 was criminally overlooked by most people.
You looking at me?
I'm just
Come
fucking with
on.
you. So Dishonored 2 is getting its first expansion pack or DLC story, and it's called Death of an Outsider, or Death of the Outsider. So for those of you that don't know, Outsider is the character in the lore that gives the main character their powers. So they're clearly the assassin Dowd from Dishonored 1 and Billy from from Dishonored 2 are teaming up and trying to take out the Outsider. So it's kind of like a prequel to 1, their story, and you kind of figure out what's going on there. Just a CG trailer, no real gameplay, which is weird because it's coming out September 15th of this year. So I'm imagining it's just going to look exactly like Dishonored 2 was. No new powers I didn't really see. Everything that they were showing off in the trailer looked like powers that Corvo or Emily already had. So
It's a bit surprising there's no gameplay at all, considering they did for Horizon. You know?
yeah,
It's good to see you all.
like they had stuff to show,
right.
but I thought that was a little weird.
Who's the mark?
They might have just been holding it back.
Black-eyed bastard.
All right, Anakin. Moving on. So they showed off Quake Champions a little bit more.
I'm super pumped.
He's super excited about
Yeah,
it.
I didn't see a date.
I have no idea when it's coming out. All I know is that Quake Champions looks awesome. They added in the big reveal was BJ Blazkowicz from the Wolfenstein games, and he's a playable character in Quake Champions. It's a multiplayer only game. I think it's only coming to PC. I don't really see it coming
I
anywhere else.
didn't see any
But you're
sort
happy
of
about that.
console stuff.
Plebs, you know. But I played this game at PAX East. I played the beta or the alpha, whatever the hell it was. I mean, this game is going to be awesome. It's a fast, twitch-based shooter. It looks more like the old Quakes. I'm excited for it to come out. It is supposed to be a free-to-play game for certain characters, but you can, obviously buy the full game and get all the characters.
Or
which I
you
plan
can
on
then
doing.
like unlock or pick and choose type of thing.
Which characters you want to actually pay for. So I like the way that a lot of these multiplayer only games are going, especially now that like Overwatch had such success. That Overwatch was a $60 game, but you see these other multiplayer games now jumping onto the multiplayer only, but now lowering the prices or going free to play. So I'm expecting to see more and more of these type of games come out, and I mean I'm super pumped for Quake. So
It does look good.
Yeah.
We'll give it that. It looks great. It looks like Unreal Tournament back in 2000.
yep.
So, moving on, Evil Within 2 was the next game that they showed. They didn't. So there was no like hints really. I didn't finish the Evil Within. I got to like chapter 4 because I'm a big
bitch.
softy. Yeah, a bitch. That's the word. That's the
Yeah.
word.
I agree. Same here.
I can't do horror games. That game was too much for me. But looking at it, I knew what it was because I know what it is.
Yeah.
But for somebody who was just watching the conference, someone who had literally they didn't really give any hints to like the first one at all. I feel like it is a continuation. It's clearly a sequel.
Yep.
Something's going on. I mean, maybe if I had finished the game, I would have caught a few things.
Yeah.
But like nothing that from what I've seen from videos, from what I've heard you talk about, like nothing really kind of clicked for me, like connecting the first one to the second one, except for like you have to go back. And I was like, okay.
The game reminds me a lot, and I mentioned it to Chris, the movie The Cell with Jennifer Lopez.
Right.
Where it takes place and she goes inside of a serial killer's mind. It's the same type of concept here, where in the first game you're pretty much inside of this dream world of this serial killer, and you're trying to escape. And
Spoilers.
Yeah, that's a big spoiler right there.
I mean,
no,
you
it's
see
pretty
it-
evident
you
very
s-
quickly
yeah,
into the game.
Like you're driving through Inception, basically, or Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, and the game came out a while ago.
Yeah.
The second one's about to come out.
I
So-
understand it's not really my type of horror. I mean, it seems more visceral than cerebral. I'm more into like the Silent Hill type, but
Yeah, no, I
Still
mean,
looked interesting.
I think they definitely had some really good characters, like Boxhead, like that, whatever the
Yeah.
fuck that guy was. Like,
they went
there's
from
one
pyramid
part.
to box set.
Yeah, I mean, it's very similar,
Pretty much.
where they put you in a room, you can't really kill them, and you got to try to escape. Survival horror. I thought the game was pretty well done. I'm excited to see what they're gonna do with the story. It's fucked up, but
I did notice that they incorporated a very weird trailer, and then they showed gameplay within that trailer.
Yeah.
The gameplay looks a hell of a lot better than the first one. I don't
Yeah.
know if you noticed that. Like the the first one had a very narrow, very wide screen, if you will, image, so you couldn't really see what was beneath your thighs
Yeah.
in that game. This looks like it's a little bit further down, a little bit open, more range of view. So I'm hoping they're not going more of the action route.
that would be a mistake.
That would be a
if
huge
they go
mistake.
Resident Evil 5 on
Yeah,
us.
that's what I'm saying. Like I'm afraid of that.
Which a lot of horror franchises do.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm hoping that they kind of stick with the RE4, but slightly better gameplay because
Yeah.
it did feel like clunky, and I felt like that added to the horror of the Evil Within.
Yeah.
At least for me, I felt like I could never really. I
weren't
was
in
never
control.
in control, which is a huge no for me.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So that's I'm hopeful that they keep it the same, but slightly better for people that are going to play this.
Yeah.
Me, I couldn't give a fuck.
And I believe that the Evil Within now, at least on Steam, is like $10 or it's like $9 right now, so you can play the first one. I'm sure it's pretty cheap that you can get it if you haven't ever played the Evil Within and you like the Resident Evil type games, like the beginning. I say 1 through 4 pretty much. It's more like that, but yeah, I recommend it. I was pumped to see it.
Yeah.
I kind of expected it to be dropping. So
Yeah, I mean, it's coming out Friday the 13th, October 13th of this year, so that's great. Spooky. Yeah, spooky, perfect timing. And the last game that they showed off, which I'm most excited about, is Wolfenstein The New Colossus.
Now, as someone who's never played Wolfenstein and had this guy pump it up to me for years, the original one, the second one blew my socks off, the trailer. I was pretty impressed. It
Yep.
looked like a very adult storyline. It looked like a very interesting first-person shooter, like very fast-paced, but not just your typical first-person shooter. I'm highly looking forward to that one.
this was E3 for me. For the most part, I think this is probably the game that I walked away from E3 saying, like, this is the game.
Yep.
It looked
and
awesome.
it's the first one was fucking fantastic. It came out of nowhere. The fact that they've taken this little blockhead guy from the original Wolfenstein games, BJ, and now have made him into this character that he is now, that he's in Quake, and the first story, like, was, it seemed like now in this one they're really going extreme with it. Like there was one part in the trailer where some guy was like probably tripping on something and he's like picking up like a cartoon lizard, and like they're going real weird with it, but that's okay. And the gameplay itself is exactly what it was in the first one for the most part, but I think it definitely looks cleaner. I'm excited. Like you saw BJ in like a
exosuit. That's what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah. So you saw him in the exosuit, and you're like, well, because if you play the first one, something happens at the end of it that you're like, how are they making a sequel to this? And when it's not true realism, like sure. Yeah. Now he's got an exosuit. The Nazis won World War II. They've full control over the country. You're Mr. America. And
it's interesting to see. So this game takes place in America. So it takes place in America where Nazi has actually taken over. So you're going down the street and you're expecting 1950s America, but you're not getting that. You're getting the Nazi regime, which is like really interesting. And then the milkshake scene, that was fucking dope as hell.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of what BioShock Infinite could have been, like that weird alternate reality, but it seems like they're doing a better job with it, in my opinion.
Goddamn Nazis.
Agreed.
Exactly.
What else? So if you blinked, you would have missed this. But at one point, BJ's in a wheelchair. So clearly some kind of nursing back to health type of thing, similar to the first game.
Yeah, at
the beginning. And he's just fucking pulling out a Luger, shooting motherfuckers in a wheelchair. And I'm like, yes! He's just wheeling downstairs. So that looked awesome. Riding the mechanical dogs. What are those things called?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't fucking know.
Sure.
I did notice that you could dual wield different guns. You couldn't do that in the first one.
You could dual wield everything.
I thought I know, but you could dual wield
different guns, though?
two machine guns or two shotguns. You couldn't do a pistol and a shotgun in the first one.
That could be correct.
So this one, they had two different guns. So you could be like, I want to run with pistols. And I was like dissecting every little thing. I'm like, yes, that looks great. That looks great. You get an axe. Cool. Let's see. Crocodile enemies. You're going to New Orleans.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. That would be a really... So for those of you that don't know, quick history lesson. New Orleans was occupied by the French for the longest time, and then Spain invaded and took over New Orleans and kind of rebuilt it in like Spanish architecture, and then France retook it over. So there's this weird amalgamation of French and Spanish heritage there. So in real world. So I'm interested to see what happens when Germany takes it over, to see if they kind of do the same thing with that.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of cool. Sorry.
We'll probably take a play off of that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Wolfenstein, man. It's fucking back, and we got a release date.
October 27th.
So this year. It got me excited to play Wolfenstein. The first one I completely ignored. I never really paid stock.
Well, that's your own mistake.
Yeah. Now I want to go back and play the first one to play this one.
Yeah, now that you've been playing Doom and those type of shooters, I love the fact that they're bringing back these old school shooters, and they're staying true to what made them fun, but they're obviously updating them. Like,
what's funny is that we haven't talked about the story about this at all. Granted, you should know this, that the first one had two tremendous different storylines. Same thing, but you had two paths that you could take for replayability, and I played through both of them. They were great. This one, it's still like, I just take it for granted that it's going to be just as good, if not better.
Yeah, I mean, I think I watched it live, and I haven't watched it since because
I don't need anything else.
I don't need it. I know it's coming. It has that old school gameplay, kind of like Doom, where it is like health pickups and armor pickups, and I love like those old. It's getting me thinking about it, like those old school memes of the Wolfenstein that came out pretty recently or a couple of years ago, where the memes where he has all the helmets and armor all over him because you just pick up at someone's helmet and you get 5 armor. And you pick up someone like this and you get 10
So
armor.
you don't necessarily need like a shoulder pad to like...
You're just picking up random armor off killed enemies and stuff like that. It's fucking bonkers. And it's awesome.
What's going to be even more crazy is that they introduced the acid tabs, and I wonder if they're going to incorporate that into the gameplay where BJ goes like, fuck it, and puts one in his mouth and then trips balls.
Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah, and then just starts
Far Cry,
killing crazy Nazis. I wonder if they'll do that, but we shall see. And I think that's in October, and I think that's going to be it for Bethesda's press conference, unless you guys really have anything else to say. I think we kind of covered most of it.
No,
Very good job.
Definitely the highlight for me, in my opinion.
Absolutely, I agree. So thank you so much for watching. You guys should check out our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Pixelated Pixelated points for all E3 coverage, press conference shows, Tangent Podcast, all that shit. Follow us on Twitter at PXLPTS. I am at It's a Me BT. Chris, you don't have a Twitter. No. Gary.
G Hines 25.
God Mike back there.
At Steven_Sal.
And that's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching our Bethesda E3 post show. We'll see you in a bit.